In this video, I want to just go over my response to Dave Ramsey. And I have not yet watched this video, so this is going to be a very raw version of it. But before I go into it, I just want to sort of preface this with the following. Dave Ramsey is great for someone that wants to pay off their house, pay off their vehicles, pay off their credit cards, not leverage any debt, and eat rice, noodles, and beans for the rest of their life while not creating amazing experiences in life, not changing and being in contribution to other people's lives. And the reason I say that is because his philosophy is stay out of debt. People who are truly wealthy and financially abundant know it is a fact that the way we create wealth is by utilizing leverage. You see, Dave Ramsey says that all debt is bad, and that's not true. There's good debt and then there's bad debt, right? Bad debt takes money out of your pocket. Good debt puts money into your pocket. And I agree, we should try or completely eliminate having any bad debt because it doesn't make us money. But we should acquire as much good debt as possible if it's bringing money into our pockets, right? Just like if I buy a vehicle and I put it on Turo, and that vehicle now makes me $500 a month of cash flow, that's not a liability. That is an asset. And I will finance that vehicle all day long. Maybe my monthly payment is $400 a month, but if I'm bringing in $1,000 a month, I will do that all day long. I could go and buy real estate, and I'm going to finance that real estate, and maybe my mortgage payment is $3,000 a month, but maybe I'm making $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 a month with short-term rentals. And so I believe that we need to differentiate the good debt versus the bad debt. Because again, the name of the game is leverage. Again, I will also get personal loans. I will get business loans if I'm going to make more money than what it costs for me to utilize those business loans between all the interest payments and everything. If I know that on the other hand, I'm still going to be profitable, then it makes sense. But again, you have to have the right knowledge, the right skills, the right information to be able to implement and execute these investment strategies. I do believe not everybody can implement them the way I can. With that being said, let's watch this video. Here we go.
Yeah, so just quick context. My wife and I, when we were engaged, did FPU. That was 6 years ago. We are now $5,000 away from being debt-free, aside from our mortgage.
Way to go.
Just 5,000. Yes, thank you. Just 5,000 left of my student loans. Here's the thing. We're pastors here in Texas. We are moving to Oklahoma to be pastors of a church there. And what's awesome as part of the deal is we have a parsonage, so we will not have a mortgage payment there. And so my ultimate dream is that we are financially independent from the church. I love the church. I would love to one day not even have to take a paycheck from the church. And so what I'm seeing is our expenses are staying the same. Our income's actually going up a little bit with this move, and I would like to turn my house in Texas into an Airbnb property and hopefully even make income to take one step closer to being financially independent from the church. And so my question really is that a smart move, or should I just sell my home here in Texas, profit, I don't know, the way the market is right now, I can maybe profit 60, 70K.
First of all, Dave hasn't even responded, but I'm already upset. I'm just kidding. So Dave hasn't even responded, but the pastor's asking, should we rent out our property on Airbnb? Now, I don't know what Dave's is going to say. Like I said, I haven't watched this video yet, but the very first thing you should do is you should go on Mashvisor and AirDNA, and you should look at the comparables of what other properties are currently generating on similar properties. Because the truth is, Dave doesn't know the answer. I don't even know the answer. He's asking about Dallas, Texas, but it's like, what part of Dallas, Texas? Like, is it in the primary market, like around downtown? Or is it like in a secondary market, like in the outskirts, right? Because that is going to have an impact on your revenue. My point is what I don't know what Dave's going to say, but he probably doesn't have the answer because I don't know the answer. You should look at the comparables of what other properties similar to yours in a similar area are already generating. And if you see that in the last 12 months, properties have averaged, let's say, 6,000 a month of revenue, and maybe his mortgage payment is 3,000, or if somebody was subleasing and the rent would be 3,000, then it's a no-brainer. But if the numbers say that you're going to make about 3,000, but your rent and mortgage is going to be 3,000, then it's likely not a good area. But let's see what good old Dave Ramsey has to say.
Something along those lines from what I've seen. And so I'm just asking you what maybe the better or best option is.
I love your goal, and I don't dislike your plan overall. I would sell the house and move the money to Oklahoma, pile up some more cash, and pay cash for your first rental in your own backyard. Airbnbs have two problems that all the people that talk about how much money they make with them don't bring up. They have three problems that people don't bring up. Problem number one, there's a ton of hassle, a lot of details, a lot of work involved in getting the people in, getting them out, getting them cleaned.
So Dave Ramsey here is speaking from a 9-to-5 employee mindset. Now, is Airbnb a passive strategy? It is not. It's not, because it requires operations, right? Someone needs to clean it, do maintenance, communication. Communication is every day. Maintenance is, it could be once a week or every couple of weeks. It just depends on the wear and tear of the property. But cleaning typically is 4 to 8 times a month. So there is a lot of turnover and it's a lot of work. That said, if you hire and delegate, it will allow you to work on the business rather than in the business. Does that make sense? And so right now, Dave Ramsey is speaking from an employee 9-to-5 mindset, where the mindset he's coming from is, if I want it done right, I have to do it myself. So I disagree with that. If you build a team and a system, you can make this a 80 to 90% passive business.
Cleaned, all that kind of stuff. Like probably 25x a normal rental, because you'll have multiple renters in a single month, right? And so you've got maid service, you've got a higher level of maintenance, you've got a lot of work involved in managing and messing with them. Okay, so a lot of hassle.
Could I speak?
Go ahead.
So sorry to interrupt. Can I just speak to that? I do have family here in Texas that would be managing the property, and so I kind of have a little bit of a built-in system where
which is a bad idea. You're taking advantage of your family. Okay, I'm telling you, Airbnb, the hassle factor is very high. There's great money, but the hassle factor is very high. So if you want to do an Airbnb, it needs to be in your backyard. Problem number one with Airbnbs. Problem number two with Airbnbs is you have a lot of extra maintenance. People tear the crap out of your property. Nobody talks about that. That's the dirty little secret of Airbnbs. You're constantly buying carpet. You're constantly buying paint and drywall repair because they do not take it. I don't care how big a deposit you get.
So is there more wear and tear? Absolutely. Is there more maintenance? Absolutely. Are there more repairs? Absolutely. Constantly? He just said you have to constantly paint your house and constantly change the carpet. That's not true. That sounds like every week or every month. That's not true. Again, it is going to be dependent on properties, on, how bad the wear and tear is when you first launch it on Airbnb. Long story short, it is going to be more wear and tear than a long-term rental. That said, when you have a team in place to take care of these things, they will get taken care of, right? You don't have to do this yourself. Plus the extra, let's say that the profit would be, because here's the thing, guys. The average real estate investor hopes to make $200 a month of profit. Okay, that's $200 a month, $2,400 a year. When myself and my students implement this strategy the way we know how, we make about $2,000 a month of profit. That's 10 times more. So that's $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year. Even if there was like $4,000 a year extra of repairs and wear and tear, we're still up another 18 grand. So to me, it's just a no-brainer, but let's keep going here with what good old Dave Ramsey has to say.
Or how much screening you do, it's not their house. And so you're going to have a high level of repairs and maintenance, which is part of that hassle factor. The third thing that nobody's talking about is several areas are now passing zoning prohibiting it.
Right. Right.
And so if you set your whole model up only on Airbnb, you could have the rug jerked out from under you. If the only way the deal works is Airbnb, don't do the deal because it might not be available to you.
I agree with one part and then disagree with the first part. I agree. If the numbers only make sense if you Airbnb it, but doesn't make sense with any other strategy, I agree. Do not buy the real estate. I've been talking about this for 5 years with my students. I say you need to, in real estate, we should always have multiple exit strategies, right? That means, okay, what if something happened with the regulation where you couldn't, operate anymore or something like that, right? That is a possibility. Okay, well, what would you do then? Could you do midterm rentals? Can you focus on corporate housing? How about nurses, government bookings, relocation companies? Those are like midterm rentals, right? Typically for 1 month to 6 months at a time. Or what is the fair market, rental market like? Like, can you put it just for a 12-month lease if for some reason Airbnbs didn't work? And here's the thing, if you were going to buy a property in an area where you would buy it anyway just to do, just to have long-term rentals, you're like, all right, I already know long-term rentals works and I would cash flow say $200 a month. And I also see that I could Airbnb it, I can get a permit, and then my cash flow could be $2,000 a month. Great. Well, then Airbnb it. And if for some reason in the future you can no longer Airbnb it, you already know you can make $200 a month of cash flow, right? Now, going into the regulation part, I recommend to only operate in cities where you can get a permit. What Dave is referring to here is if you go into an area where there is no regulation, it's just a gray area, they're not offering permits yet, or who knows if they ever will, and then 6 months later they put a ordinance, a regulation that says, hey, you can't do Airbnb. Well, now you're not in a good position, right? Now you're going to have to do one of the other strategies I mentioned, the midterm rental strategies or long-term tenants. That said, if you go into an area where you need a permit in order to operate, and they're already issuing permits, they're basically saying, hey, we welcome the business. We want to make that money too. We want those permit fees. We want to collect those TOT, the transient occupancy tax from the guest. The city's going to make the money. On top of that, all the business that's going to be brought to all those small businesses, right? So if they're issuing permits, then you're in the green. That's great because now the regulation is already in place. So you don't have to worry about it changing once they already established one. And if they do change it, typically they're very minor once they already have one in stone.
For the extra money and run the maintenance for the extra money, you'll make more money, but it's a lot of work. So I would move the money to Oklahoma, whether you're going to do a straight rental or whether you're going to do an Airbnb, because it's in your backyard and you're going to lay your hands on it. And you are a man who controls your destiny. You don't ask your first cousin to do it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I would do if I were in your shoes. But I like your overall idea, but let's just pay cash for a rental and go that way. Christina?
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of Airbnb owners, and it kind of does feel like a part-time job for a lot of them. And
you get 6 of them, it's a full-time job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree that having your family do that would kind of be taking advantage of them, especially if you're not paying them, if they don't get a cut of that profit.
And if you start paying them, then the need for doing an Airbnb goes away.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just a lot of mental aspects of like, I mean, there's a review system on there. So even with the maintenance, even with keeping your Airbnb up, you want to make sure that it's top notch because you want those 5-star reviews. If not, you're going to have a tougher time booking people, and the list goes on and on. It can definitely be more of a headache. And I think your heart is with the church. You ultimately want to pour your heart into the church. That's why you want financial independence, is so that you can love on people better. And if you're stressed out by this basic other part-time job, that's not going to be the best use of your energy.
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I love your move to Oklahoma, and you're making more money. Just take the fact that you don't have a house payment anymore, pile it on top of that $60K, go pay cash for your first house, then pile all that rent up or Airbnb money up, whatever it is.
Oh, man. How do I say this? Guys, back in 2015, I had purchased my first property that I was living in, but I was renting the other rooms. At the time, I wasn't married, didn't have kids yet. So in addition to my mortgage payment, I would also send an extra $3,000 to $5,000 a month towards the principal. So I would pay my total mortgage payment of principal, interest, tax, insurance, and I would also send $3,000 to $5,000 extra towards the principal. I was on track to paying that house off in the first 8 years. I would have been 32, and the house would have been paid off. That's 3 years ago. And then I got a mentor at Rich Dad Poor Dad. I joined their education program, and this was a multi-millionaire mentor from Rich Dad. And she said, Jorge, why are you doing this? Why are you sending all those extra payments? And at the time, I had the Dave Ramsey mentality. I said, because I want to become financially free. She said, honey, that's not how you do it. I'm like, so what should I do? She said, look, your house will be paid off, and you're still going to be stuck in a rat race needing a 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. I was like, oh, that stings. She said, what you should do is do a refinance cash out, pull out the equity, and then go and buy 2 more properties. The name of the game is leverage. This is how the wealthy are created. So that's just my thoughts on that.
And go pay cash for the second house, and then go pay cash for the third house. And you end up with 5 or 10 properties. You'll have enough income coming in that you are independent, and then you can decide how you're going to serve the church and what the financial arrangement of that is. That gives you the option of that. And it does put you in a completely different position in the church world, for sure. And
Yeah.
I love your heart and where you're talking about going with it.
Yeah, and that's a super exciting move. Congratulations with all of that. A new job, new promotion, and not having to pay rent or a mortgage. That's outstanding. So I think you're going to be able to pile this cash up quick.
Yeah, it's going to put you in a really, really good position. So I've got a good friend that is a pastor, and he started at that age buying properties, and he's done exactly what he's talking about doing. He's got a lot of real estate, become wealthy, and he didn't steal the money from the church, and he didn't get overpaid by the church. He just managed his money well for decades, and has a bunch of paid for real estate now. And he's good at real estate. He's a pastor, but he's good at real estate, and so. He's managed the properties well, and it's like his little side job, so to speak, his hobby. He loves fooling with it, and he loves messing with real estate like I do. And he's just done very, very well. So he's many, many years ahead of you, David, and has done what he's put himself in a position that he's independent from the church.
So those are my thoughts. That is my response to Dave Ramsey. Again, I think his advice, I don't know if it's good. I mean, I guess it's good for some people. But if you want to become financially free, if you want to become a millionaire, you're not going to do it by working your butt off and working really hard. You have to use leverage. The name of the game is leverage. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear what you guys think down in the comments below. And by the way, I am hosting a 5-day challenge where you are going to learn more about Airbnb in 5 days, about automating and starting Airbnbs more in 5 days than you have in the last 5 years. If you want to check out my upcoming 5-day challenge, click the links down below and check that out. And make sure you guys check out my other videos here before you guys go anywhere. Peace.